Okay, I am with Uncle James Ali Bashir. Uncle, how we doing?
Everything is good.
So, how are things been with yourself and Serenka? Any news on Vlad Serenka?
We had a delay. We supposed to fight November 27th, and Vlad informed me today that there would be a delay 2-3 weeks. We're probably going to go into the month of December to fight because of the main event on the card got injured.
Okay.
As is the case with many fights that's going on. Dillian White, this young man that's supposed to fight on the top of our card, he got injured. You have numerous fights being canceled, and I think that's because of the training efforts. They're adding too much into boxing. Everybody, I mean, you have 4 or 5 guys that got injured in the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
Everybody's getting injured. Everybody's suffering an injury. Dillian White, this young man that's headlining Vlad Serenko's card. I forget his name. But he was good. Berenchek, Denise Berenchek.
Okay.
140-pounder.
Okay.
He got injured. A couple other fights that fell out. Big fights.
Ryan Garcia got injured.
Pardon me?
Ryan Garcia got injured.
Yeah, it's I'm saying, I know of at least 3, maybe 4 fights. The junior welterweight champion, what's his name?
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor. All of these guys are getting injured because of the different tactics and the different applications that they're using in the training camp. That's the only other explanation for it.
What about
how is it that this many fights fall out so close together?
Money. Gates, not enough money, not enough people interested in the fight, potentially not making as much money as you think the fight would make. I mean, Otto Wallin is a good fighter, but he's not I wouldn't say that he's a ticket seller, Otto Wallin. And Dillian White might be selling tickets, but people have just shelled out for Tyson Fury. They've shelled out for Anthony Joshua.
Well, big risk, low reward.
Yes, as well.
Yeah, Dillian White probably saying, listen, why should I take a tough fight like I did now? And I'm on the doorsteps of getting a title shot.
And there might be a situation where White versus Fury might happen sooner rather than later. Or there might be some news that Fury may vacate the belt and drop the belt. And there might be a fight for White to get in there. We just don't know with these injuries. You just never know. You never know whether an injury is genuine or it's man management or management.
Now, in my opinion, boxing now is more business than it is sport.
That's it. So you never know.
Everybody's out to get that dollar. So
you just can never tell whether an injury is genuine or not. I'm not saying that Dillian White or anybody else's injury isn't genuine, but there's also that maneuvering of, well, if this guy, we say this guy's injured here. David Haye was good at that. Haye did that. I remember he said he was injured. I think he damaged his back for the Vitaly Klitschko fight. And before we know it, he was fighting Valuev. But nobody forgot that David Haye damaged his lower spine, he said. And then before you know it, he was fighting Valuev for the title. So it happens. So, as you know, Anthony Joshua is shopping for a new trainer. So the story is that while he's around America looking at all these trainers, is that he's got no intentions of leaving Rob McCracken, and that he
has no intention of doing what?
He has no intention of leaving Rob McCracken, but what actually is happening, he's just shopping around to let the trainers think that they could get a job with him. But really what's going on is that he's picking up tips from each trainer and then bringing it back, going to bring it back to England with him afterwards. So none of these trainers, Anthony Josh has got any intentions of actually hooking up with. That's one of the stories I've heard. I sincerely hope that's not true.
I don't know what to think, I don't know what to think. I think for the most part he's just spinning his wheels. I do know this. He better pull it all together. He better pull it all together now, because he's going to be in trouble with Alexander Usyk in the next fight. If he doesn't put this game plan together and execute, not just put the game plan together, but being able to execute. And he has to collect this program right away, because the next Usyk that he sees is going to be a far more dangerous Usyk. Usyk has tried to close on. He likes the way they fit, and he doesn't want to take them off. He likes being called the heavyweight champion of the world, and he's going to fight his ass off to keep that title.
So there were 5 trainers that were mentioned. At the moment, there's a poll. I think it's the 5 trainers are Virgil Hunter, Ronnie Shields, what's his name?
Robert Garcia.
Robert Garcia. Who are the other 2 trainers? Derrick James and somebody else. Who's the other trainer? But there were 5 trainers in all, American trainers. Oh, Reynoso, Canelo's trainer. 5 trainers.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 trainers that were mentioned. So the question I've got to ask first and foremost, you uncle, is why is your name not in that category? Why is your name not in that list?
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, you got to stop saying that. You got to stop saying I don't know, because
listen. I'm being honest.
I've got to push you. I've got to push you on this, though, because I know you keep saying you don't know.
I really do not know why my name wasn't mentioned or that my phone hasn't rang. But it's it's in my mind, it's neither here nor there, because you can take a horse to water, as my mother used to say, but you can't make the horse drink. Some people are complacent when they chose concepts or chose avenues that they want to go down. Nothing you can do about it, But I will say that I'll compare my application of teaching the sport of boxing. I'll compare that to any application that any other trainer uses,
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, training a heavyweight is far more different than training a welterweight, a junior welterweight, a super middleweight. Training a heavyweight is a far more different application. And for the most part, that's what my expertise is in training heavyweights. That's where I've had the most experience. But I feel that I can train any fighter at any weight if I have the fighter's ear, if I have the fighter's attention, if I have the fighter's respect, I can teach anybody. But my expertise would be with the dinosaurs, the big guys.
Okay, let me share this with you. I was actually researching your name to find out why you wouldn't either make a good fit or not make a good fit. And this is what I found today on the internet. Would you believe it or not? I was shocked. Let me bring this up. I was shocked because I didn't even think there was actually a Wikipedia. It isn't a Wikipedia. This is Wikita. Or Wikipedia. It says James Ali Bashir is an American boxing trainer. Now you can clarify this with me, or you can clarify and tell me this is correct or incorrect information. And if there's anything you hear that's not right, let me know. So guys, James Ali Bashir is an American boxing trainer. Bashir trained and served as an assistant under legendary trainer EMMANUEL Steward for 17 years out of the famous Kronk Gym. Bashir has trained notable heavyweights Vladimir Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, Shannon Briggs, and Eddie Chambers. Most recently, Bashir trained Alexander Usyk to win the undisputed cruiserweight championship of the world. Well, it was the WBO. So you can clarify that there. Okay, it says here, life and career. Bashir was born in Newark, New Jersey. After a short amateur boxing career as a fighter, Bashir became a boxing trainer in 1975. Bashir started working with undercard boxers in Muhammad Ali's training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. Here he trained the likes of Tim Witherspoon, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, and Donald Curry, former welterweight and junior welterweight world champion. Bashir was also an assistant under EMMANUEL Steward, helping Vladimir Klitschko successfully defend the heavyweight championship of the world, a record 18 consecutive title defenses behind Joe Louis' 25 title defenses and Larry Holmes' 20 consecutive title defenses. During the reign in 2013, BoxRec rated Klitschko as number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. In 2014, during Klitschko versus Alex Leopold build-up, Shannon Briggs crashed the pre-fight press conference and offered Bashir $1 million to jump ship and train him in the upcoming potential fight against Klitschko. In 2016, after 3 years together, Bashir took Alexander Usyk to win the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the world. The two separated after a disagreement in camp between Bashir and Usyk's manager, Igor Klimas. Bashir currently trains decorated Ukrainian heavyweight prospect Vlad Tsarenko. And it says here, the assault incident. On October the 4th, 2019, at a weigh-in at Clarissa Shields versus Iban Havazan World Female Super Welterweight Championship, Bashir was brutally assaulted by Shields' brother, Artis Mack. The fight, originally slated for Flint, Michigan, was postponed due to Bashir's hospitalization of a brain bleed. Bashir recovered from the incident and alongside Steve Upshur Chambers trained Havazan months later on the rescheduled January 10th, 2020 card in Atlantic City. Shields' brother would later take a plea deal, pleading guilty on a single count of aggravated assault, and he was sentenced to 1 year in jail. And then it's got some videos attached. Both of the videos are interviews that we've done, and then it's got some information here of some video of yourself, of myself and you doing some interviews together. That is what is out on the internet about you, Uncle Bashir. So I just want
there's
you
some
to know.
inaccuracies there. You know, I never trained Tim Witherspoon, and I actually started training boxers in the Saad Muhammad training camp, which spilled over into the Muhammad Ali training camp, as Saad Muhammad would go in Muhammad Ali's training camp from time to time to spar with Ali, and that's what that introduced me to the Muhammad Ali training camp. Even though I knew all of the people that was around Ali, most of the people that was around of Ali at that time was from the city of Newark, New Jersey. You know, Murad Muhammad, the boxing promoter, you know, and all of the people that were there, they were from Newark, New Jersey. So that's what allowed me to be a member of the Muhammad Ali training camp. That's why I had so much time to spend in Ali's training camp. And you know, I worked with Jamil McCline, Maurice Harris, Monty Barrett. I worked with a lot of big guys, a lot of big guys in boxing, you know, and and including I had a long run in Tim Witherspoon's training camp. Tim Witherspoon and I remain friends until this day, you know, and we speak still on the phone time to time. I just got off the phone day before yesterday. I spoke extensively with Lennox Lewis, you know, and I still communicate with Vladimir Klitschko. So I'm close to these guys. You know, we didn't just work together in training camps. We remained close prior to their, post-boxing careers. I'm still close to these guys.
Wow.
Yes,
so,
I maintain a relationship with these guys. You know, we get on the phone and we chop it up every now and then. And Lennox and I have spoke twice within the last 3 weeks.
I bet he's had a lot to say about what Joshua's doing. You know, I can imagine.
Lennox doesn't like Joshua, and Joshua doesn't like Lennox. That's
that boy. Uncle Bashir. You know, I feel he should be training with you. You know, he needs a good trainer, and you're a solid teacher. You know, McCracken can't teach him anything, but you know, you should be with him. You know, that would be an awesome partnership.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
That boy, that boy Joshua, he's making a fool of himself, he let a guy from cruiserweight move up to heavyweight, and he tried to box him. He didn't fight him like a big man. I couldn't believe what I was watching, man.
Yeah, you sound just like. Yeah, you sound like. You sound just like him. You sound just like him. You know, that's my guy. That's my guy. He's a good guy.
What I was watching.
And he's a boxing guy. He has a boxer's mentality.
I couldn't believe what I was watching, man.
When it comes down to the nitty gritty, Lennox Lewis, you can depend on him. He's going to fight. He's going to fight. You're going to have to knock him out, or he's going to knock you out. But he's a grinder, you know.
It says Lennox wanted Vlad to beat AJ. He was upset when AJ knocked him out. Since then, they had tension. You know, I don't care much for AJ. He disrespect me. He called me a clown. Who's the clown now? When you look at it, who's the clown now? He's got that right. We are definitely from two different class. Definitely. When I got knocked out, I went to man the steward. When he got knocked out, he went back to the same clown again.
That's him. You sound just like him. You got it. It's a great emulation of it.
I've been doing it for years. Absolutely. And Lennox Lewis,
you emulate him very well.
Yeah, Lennox the fighter, I have a lot of respect for. Lennox the man, I reserve judgment on. I'll leave it as that. But we'll leave it as that. That's another conversation for another day. I wasn't impressed in the way he handled me, but that's another conversation for another day. As a heavyweight champion of the world, absolute respect. Came back, beat every man that was put in front of him. And if he hadn't lost to McCall and what's the boy's name? McCall. Jesus.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think we're done. That's good. If he didn't lose to Oliver McCall and he didn't lose to Rackman, there's an argument he could have been, the greatest heavyweight of the modern era.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, very, very possible. But those were avoidable losses,
Of course they were.
Just sleeping, just sleeping on his post, and got caught. That's all.
Complacency, and that's why when people talk about the legacy of Lennox Lewis in any era, when they take Lennox Lewis,
let me just say this here: with the boxing trainers, it's easy to be a trainer when the fighter is already made. I think that the greatest input that a boxing trainer can have is when you take a guy from scratch and you build a guy. When you take a guy and build him, or either turn him around. Emmanuel Stewart turned Lennox Lewis around. He turned Vladimir Klitschko around. Those were legacy applications.
But he had plenty. He had 2 gold medalists to work with.
Right.
Now that's the key thing. He had 2 gold medalists to work with.
But he took them from when they were in the doldrums of their careers, and he turned them around.
Watch this. He never worked with Audley Harrison, and he was a gold medalist, and he hadn't fought anyone. He would just turn pro, and Emmanuel Stewart said no, and I know why as well. He knew about Audley Harrison's work ethics and his dedication, I think, and Emmanuel said no, I don't want any of that around me.
Well, a lot of times these guys they get a guy and they run with the guy, and like in any case, if you got a guy that can fight, why not run with it? But I think that the people, the fans, the pundits, they take that, like in the case of Earl Spence or Terrence Crawford. These guys are talented fighters,
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally the trainers are going to run with them. But the legacy, I think, in a trainer lies in what do you do after that? What do you do after that? What is your assessment? Huh?
Virgil Hunter was Andre Ward. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Virgil Hunter was Andre Ward, but what did he do? I mean,
After Andre Ward,
what has he done since then?
Khan got knocked out under him, did he?
Well, he had Andre Berto and
Yeah,
Amir
but
Khan.
his gym almost ended up the place for washed up or fighters who got knocked out. The rehabilitation gym. That's what it was.
I'm just trying to find out what did he add on? What did he do? What did he do from that point on?
Okay, that's one. Ronnie Shields. He would. They say he was Mike Tyson's former trainer, but before Ronnie Shields, there was Stacey McKinley, and Stacey McKinley needs more credit than Ronnie Shields.
Well, Stacey McKinley is not going to get the credit.
Why?
Well, because Stacey McKinley was the guy that was the magic. He did the work. I mean, he rolled up his sleeves and did the work. And those are the guys that are most often in boxing overlooked.
But why? That's the question we need to find out tonight. Why are they overlooked? That's the question.
Envy, jealousy, a number of things, you know.
Envy, jealousy, and
but I was there. I was there for 3 years. Okay, I was in and out of that Mike Tyson camp for 3 years. You know, I held audience with Mike Tyson in those 3 years, and I know for a fact that Stacey McKinley was there, front and center.
What was Stacey doing?
Stacey McKinley was. I mean, he was the nuts and bolts to Mike Tyson. People don't realize that. Stacey McKinley was the nuts and bolts to Mike Tyson. And Stacey McKinley didn't kiss up to Mike Tyson. That's why I liked Stacey, because he didn't kiss up to Mike. He told Mike what Mike needed to be told, whether Mike liked it or not.
Okay, let's put it this way. So if you were to put Stacey McKinley against those guys that were being mentioned, Reynoso, Shields, James,
no comparison. No comparison.
Why?
Because Stacey McKinley is going to get to the meat and potatoes. He's not going to BS around. Stacey McKinley going to say, no. We don't need that there. This is what we need right here. This is the route we have to take. And if you're not going to take this route, then you might as well get another trainer, because I'm not going to be the one. Stacey McKinley is not no kiss up. See, a lot of these guys, I'm not saying those other guys are, but I'm saying what I know about Stacey McKinley.
And that's why I'm asking about Stacey.
Yeah, Stacey McKinley is going to go right after the meat and potatoes. Listen, you need to double your jab and follow with the right hand. You don't need to do nothing else but that. Stacey McKinley was that guy. He didn't try to be fancy. He was an old school trainer. And he was, like I said, he was around some good guys. I mean, Luther Burgess and Walter Smith, those guys are two of the best that ever the Kronk Gym ever had to offer. Luther Burgess, Stacey McKinley, and Luther Burgess, Walter Smith, and Bill Miller was 3 of the best guys that I ever encountered inside of the Kronk Gym. They were wise sages, and Stacey comes out of that mold. He was there. You know,
so
look, Stacey and I have rubbed shoulders a lot in this boxing, you know. And Stacey is a guy, you know, that, you know, you could depend on him to give you the inside scoop about what you need to do and what you don't need to do. All right. And I'm likewise. I offer the same thing to him as he offers to me. You know, he's not the kind of guy that's going to BS around with you. And if he can't work with you, Stacey McKinley will walk away from you.
Yeah, he's already admitted it a few times. He's walked away from fighters. He walked away from the Evander Holyfield situation. He didn't get involved with it. He could have made a quick buck on it, but didn't want to know. Wasn't interested.
Well, you can only guide a fighter. You know, I think that a lot of boxers get confused. They'll take a boxing trainer and think that they can work magic. Every weight class is a different application. You have to approach weight classes differently.
Right.
You know, you can't come in and try to train a heavyweight the way you train a welterweight. No, it's a different look, different application totally.
So Why do you think these other names are being mentioned? It sounds to me that it's like, I won't use the word wishful thinking, but it sounds to me like lazy research rather than seriously studying the sport.
I really can't say. I really can't say. They take what's known and they run with it. You know, they say this is a person could do this. They look at trainers like trainers are magicians.
Mm-hmm.
But if they really sat back and observed the trainers and observed their track records, what have they done? What have they done? Have they rolled up their sleeves and got into boxing and really taught, you know, and really taught?
What about Derrick James as an outsider for this? Because of what he's done.
Derrick James is good for Earl Spence. I mean, they got a rhythm and they're making money and they're making success. So I ain't got nothing bad to say about Derrick James. I mean, he's successful at that with that boxer. Earl
And he's
Spence.
got the other Charlo brother as well.
Yeah, he's done a good job, but you can't criticize that. He's got the proof.
And he's a former heavyweight himself, fighter.
He's been successful with the guys he has, you know. The truth lies in the longevity that he has thereafter, after these the Charlo and Earl Spence. You know, if he's really a good trainer, then he'll last the times over and he'll move forward and produce again.
Of course.
In my case, you know, I've taken this. I've basically relegated myself to one boxing, that's Lazarenko. Because after a while, after I've been in boxing for a while, and I worked with so many fighters, I said, you know what? Let me concentrate on one, maybe two boxers. Let me concentrate and see what I can get done, settling down and working with this one, maybe two boxers, and let's see what I get done. And that's where I'm at now, you know. That's where I'm at now. And I get calls practically every week to come somewhere in the world to train a boxer. And I declined because I said I'm going to dedicate myself to one, maybe two boxers and see what I can get done. Right now, Lazarenko is the one that's who's improving at 18-0 with 15 knockouts, you know, and this is 5 years after the fact. 5 years ago, I couldn't even get a phone call. You know, I couldn't get a phone call back from none of the promoters. Nobody would listen to me. Nobody would hear anything when I told them that about Lazarenko and that I liked him, you know, that he has some good things that I could work with, you know, that perhaps I can turn him over with you and take the time to take a look at him and invest in him, invest thoughts in him, get him some fights. I couldn't get a call. And now, here we are 5 years later. Now he's 18-0 with 15 knockouts. I'll bet that he hasn't fought the who's who of the heavyweight division, but the fact of the matter is that he's 18-0 with 15 knockouts. All right? 18-0 with 15 knockouts, and that's coming from nowhere. That comes from nowhere. Nobody would listen to us. Nobody would hear anything. So I worked. I rolled up my sleeve and I went to work, and this is where we are now, you know. I'm looking forward to getting into the division.
Let me ask you this. If you're AJ, or no, if you're AJ, if you were going to recommend a heavyweight trainer, what would be your criteria for looking for a heavyweight trainer? Based on the fact that you've just got beat by Alexander Usyk.
Well, the thing I say, you got to get somebody in there that you can respect. You've got to have respect for the people that's supposed to be teaching you. You've got to get a guy in there that you can respect, a guy that you're going to have dependency on what he teaches you. That's a big thing. You got to have that dependency. You got to look in that person as though they was a Aladdin from the lamp. You know, I believe in everything you say, and I'm going to try everything you say. You have to embrace the word. I noticed the relationship that Lennox had with Emmanuel Stewart. I noticed the relationship that Vladimir Klitschko had with Emmanuel Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys invested in Emmanuel Stewart, and they looked up to Emmanuel Stewart. They looked up to him, and Emmanuel would lace into those guys. He would tell those guys what they needed to be told. That's the main thing. You don't want a trainer that you can boss around. You don't want a trainer that you can, if the trainer tells you to do one thing, you do another thing. No, you want to be with a trainer that you can respect. His tutelage, his word, his intentions, his actions. That's what you want.
Yes. Question asked is, how does Usyk do against Rackman and McCall?
I think Usyk does good with anybody in any era because of his style. He's a boxer. He's a boxer first and foremost. In his movement, in his intellect, in his desire. It's a lot of ingredients in the boxer, you know? And that kind of boxer, there's a lot of ingredients. He's slick, he's cunning, he's awkward. You know, he can fight. Bottom line is Alexander Usyk can fight.
Okay, Joe says, I think AJ's boxing knowledge is questionable. He always says he loves Tyson, goes straight to Shields. Him and Hearn, big up Canelo, go to Reneso. He has a settle with Virgil Hunter, goes to him. I could be wrong, but it does seem lazy, easy connections to make.
I don't know what AJ is doing. I really don't know. I don't understand.
I haven't got a clue what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. He hasn't got a clue.
I don't understand what he's doing when he's going around to all these. I mean, I guess he's going to have some justification for doing what he's doing, but I really don't understand. I can't relate to what he's doing. You know, my mom used to say, "Too many cooks spoil the soup." So you get a concept in, a concept in, a concept in, a concept in, then you're going to go back to England with all these concepts in your mind.
The thing is, you don't know, you know a person, but not what they say, but what they do. You study AJ, and you say to yourself, well, why would you want people visibly to see you searching out, looking for a trainer? It means you don't have confidence in your team. Why would you be posing with this trainer and that trainer and this trainer and that trainer? It shows weakness. It doesn't show unity. It shows weakness. It doesn't show unity at all. It shows that you don't know what you're doing.
There's no doubt that AJ is going to fight differently in the second fight versus Alexander Usyk. But there's no doubt in my mind also that Usyk is going to be fighting differently from the first Usyk. All right. But Usyk sat back and watched the fights just like AJ sat back and watched the fight. AJ said that he knows where he went wrong, and Usyk is probably saying, I know how I can do better. So it remains to be seen when they get back in the ring.
Okay. Do you think you've been blacklisted?
Me?
As a trainer?
I don't know.
Because you're outspoken. Because you don't take any crap.
I made some enemies. I've made some enemies. I know that for a fact because I'm outspoken. But I'm going to always be outspoken. That's not going to change. So if anybody's out there listening or watching and think that's going to change, it's not going to change. I am who I am.
You say you make enemies.
I'm going to tell a fighter the truth. I told Lennox Lewis the truth. I told Vladimir Klitschko the truth. Shannon Briggs, Jamil McCline, Monty Barrett, Maurice Harris. I've told them all the truth, and I'm going to always tell the truth.
When you told Briggs the truth, did he go, "Let's go, champ"?
Shannon Briggs wasn't a hard guy to train.
Yeah.
Shannon Briggs is a very, very educated boxer,
You can see
mind.
that. You can see that.
He's a very, very educated boxing mind. All right. He never gave me a hard time. Shannon Briggs was just erratic. Just crazy, man. Dude is crazy. You know, you don't know what you don't know what Shannon's gonna do from 1 minute to another minute. But he was always a respectful guy to me, always nice, always easy to train.
Can I give you a fight? Eddie Chambers versus Alexander Usyk.
Very, very, very difficult fight.
There you go. There you go.
Very, very difficult fight. If the two of them at their best would be a boring fight.
Yeah.
You know, the two of them at their best, I wouldn't want to see that fight. It's a boring fight to me.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole thing. I think Usyk's one of these guys. Well, I could be wrong, but I think Usyk fights better depending on the opposition. I think someone like Eddie Chambers.
Eddie Chambers, to me, Eddie Chambers was just more of a head case, you know. He was more of a head case to me, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But a dynamic boxing mind. A dynamic boxing mind. He can box. You know, he'll put Eddie put it on you. You go in there, you don't know how to box. Eddie gonna put it on you. Same thing with Alexander Usyk. He gonna put it on you. I still think Eddie Chambers could come out of retirement now and do very good, especially in the bridgeweight division. You know, in the bridgeweight division, because he don't need to be fighting these big guys, 290 and 6'9" and 6'10". That's just too much of an advantage.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that he can still fight at this new weight, this bridgeweight. I think he can still go out there and make a name for himself. He's a very, very, very good boxer.
Not going to talk about the game plan because we've done it in previous videos, and you can check out the videos where Uncle Bashir's talked about game plans and how AJ beats Usyk. I think we've run that dead into the ground. Uncle, so you said about making enemies. When you say you make enemies, you've made a statement there. People will latch on to that statement, I've made enemies, and will make what they want of it. So can you clarify that before we find people start saying Bashir made enemies and all, just kind of clarify what you're saying.
Well, you know, I've made enemies because I'm gonna speak my mind. I'm gonna tell a fighter what the fighter needs to be told. I'm gonna tell the fighter what's gonna benefit them. If I'm telling the fighter, you know, you need to do this or that, and then you go do something different, then I'm gonna say, what the hell are you doing? I just told you this is what you got to do. Boxers and trainers gotta have a family-like atmosphere. You've got to listen, man. You've got to listen. I get on everybody's nerves. I get on Vlad Sarenko's nerves, but Vlad Sarenko in the end listens to me. You know, I get on his nerves. I tell him the same thing over and over and over and over again. This is what you got to do. Get away from that. You don't need to be involved with this other stuff. Modern day boxing has the boxer doing so many things that's not related to boxing, in my opinion.
Yeah, you find that across
a lot of
few
stuff
sports.
they're doing in boxing now, in the boxing gyms now, that has nothing to do with the art of boxing, the art of winning a fight.
Yeah, nothing to do with boxing.
I don't like that. I said, what are you doing? It's wasted energy. You understand? Emmanuel Stewart despised that. Emmanuel would say to me, he said, that's some punk shit.
Yeah.
I said, what? What punk shit? He said, all of that, you know, these slogans and stuff. Emmanuel didn't like a lot of slogans on, you know, it's, what time is it? It's my time. Emmanuel didn't like that. Emmanuel said, that's the mark of a guy that's insecure. When you putting all that shit on, all of that shit on t-shirts and stuff, you know.
Yeah. You have to keep reinforcing who you say you are. When you actually, if you know who you are, you don't have to do that crap.
Yeah. You don't have to do that there. It's a lot of stuff in boxing you don't have to do. In my mind, like I tell Vlad in the gym now, why do you have that bag over there? You know, it's like a big teardrop, you know, like the big round bottom at the bottom.
Yeah.
What do you got that bag up there for? or is this, that, this. I said, but why you got it there? Well, no human being looks like that. I don't know no human being looks like. What do you got that bag there for? We don't need that bag. We need a straight bag. We need a double end bag. We need a speed bag. We can get it done with that. But you got this big bag, look like a teardrop. Why is that bag there? I'll tell you why there. Because somebody thought up an idea that I can make money selling this bag to people who don't know better. And I don't like them hitting that bag. Get that bag out of here. That bag does not represent a human being. This bag represents what a human being looks like.
Wow.
You know, and I tell them that all the time. You don't need these kind of things. You don't need that kind of. You don't need that.
So
to be a good boxer.
What would, I know you're an old school trainer, but what would, I did a show the other day. We talked about two fighters, AJ and Wilder, and I said that both of these guys could have had great careers if they'd invested in good trainers. They didn't. What's the moral of the story?
Well, I think that a lot of boxers want to be in control of every facet of training, including the trainer himself. The trainer might say, let's go down this road, and the boxer might say, well, I think we'd be better off going down that road. And in most cases, the trainer succumbs to that. So, okay, we go down that road. You know, I think that as long as they're thinking that they can control the trainer, then that's what they're going to do. But in fact, it's the trainer's job to suggest to the fighter. He's the one that's been alive longer. I mean, I'm 70 years old. What I look like having a guy that's 30 years old come in and tell me which road we need to take? No, you need to listen to what I'm telling you. I've been there and done that. I've been there and done that.
What about if you were accused of being an old dinosaur and not with the times? If that was an accusation of you, only be for foolish people to say that, but still, Bashir's not with the times. We're not in the Muhammad Ali era anymore.
Well, I think that it's like a misnomer. You know, you can't prove that the old school way is not the best way, because if you look back, the old school fighters had longer careers than the modern day fighters.
Of course they do.
They had longer careers.
And they fought more as well.
They had more success in title defenses, more successful careers, period. Now the boxers have what? 35, 40 fights and they're done. Some cases they get if the fighter comes in and have 65, 70 fights, that's a big thing nowadays. But it used to be commonplace in boxing.
Sure.
You know? So yeah, they can say that I'm an old dinosaur. But I stand firm on my teachings, and I'll probably teach this way until I'm dead and go until I'm out of boxing.
Okay. A fight that I think would have a little bit of interest to you because you know you've spoken to the trainer before. Anthony Yarde goes straight back in a rematch against Lyndon after the fight that he lost.
He's getting ready to fight. He's fighting Arthur again?
He's fighting Arthur again. Your thoughts on this? They've got James Cook in the corner now as well. We're helping Tunde out. Another pair of eyes. James Cook in the corner. The thing is, Uncle, I'll see in the press conference, but it seems to be tension between Ajayi and Yarde. More Yarde towards Ajayi. It seems now Yarde is telling Ajayi how he feels openly in the public, whereas before he probably would have kept quiet and let things slide. He's not letting things slide no more. At one point, he says he says at the presser, "Let me talk." When Tunde's talking, it's like, wow, this is different.
Well, I don't know what to make of that. You know, I guess he got growing pains. You know, but I don't think, nor have I ever believed in two coaches trying to coach the same fighter. I just don't agree with that.
Right.
You know, If a fighter wants to bring in another trainer, well, to be in the train, he might as well let me go because they won't work with me.
What about Barry Hunter?
I need to fight undivided attention.
What about Barry Hunter and Calvin Ford? They're training. They're working with Gervonta Davis.
Well, I think that when you're doing that there, you have to do that. They've been with Gervonta Davis since they was a little kid.
Right.
All right. They've been together. So that's different. It's easier to mold a fighter when you got them when you 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and you get accustomed, used to that kind of thing. But in my mind, I need the boxer's undivided attention to be able to get my point across. What I need for him to know, what I need for him to do inside the ring. I need his undivided attention at all times because I'm the expert. And I do not like to involve my doctrines, my teachings with nobody else. I don't want nobody to dilute what I'm teaching the boxer. Because if something happens out there in the center of that ring, they're gonna look at Bashir. They're not gonna look at the other guy because most of the time the other guy's not even known.
Yes.
So if any failure comes, it's gonna all fall on me. So no. You either listen to what I do or I go.
So how do you think how does the rematch go?
With who?
Yard and Arthur.
It's a 60-40 fight. Arthur.
Why?
Because I haven't seen that Yard has changed very much since then. I don't see anything that different. I don't hear him saying anything different. So it's a 60-40 fight.
Okay, fair enough. And Stevenson versus Herring tomorrow night.
It's a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Why?
Because Herring is in a place now where he wants to prove that he belongs. Whereas most people chose Shakur to best Herring, I think that Herring is back to the wall where he says, I want to prove that I belong.
Yeah.
And mentality in this case makes a big difference. So I think it's a 50-50 fight. People might say it's a 70-30 fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight.
What does Stevenson bring to the table apart from youth?
Desire, skills.
Okay.
That's what he brings to the table. Yes, desire and skill.
So does Herring.
Yeah, I think that.
And experience.
I think that Herring has been pushed by the pundits. I think he's been pushed by the fans. I think he's been pushed by Shakur. And I think that Herring is in a place now where he's eager to show that I belong. It's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a better fight than most people think it is.
Wow. Do you think any of those guys?
Huh?
Do you think any of those guys get stopped?
I don't know. I don't know. Neither one of those I have. Based on the last time I saw Shakur, he could be compromised.
Okay.
He could be compromised. He could be compromised because I didn't know whether he wasn't sure himself or he didn't want to take chances in the last fight. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a good look, and it opened the door for the kind of thinking that I have now. That you have a guy in there, Jamel Herring. He was watching that too. He said, "Whoa, maybe I can do this or that or the other to make the difference in the fight. If this guy can keep him at bay, keep him thinking, then what can I do? I'm a champion."
Right.
So I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Okay.
I mean, maybe Shakur proved me wrong, but I think from where I'm sitting at now, that it's a 50-50 fight.
Okay, Uncle. Let me see who else somebody says. Oh, there's somebody in the room here. Good evening. CRB1 says Fury will not fight White or Usyk. No, dollars in fight either for Fury at this point. Only dummies don't understand this. Fury, AJ,
Whoa! What
Fury,
happened to
Caballero.
what happened to the voice? Now the voice started rattling.
Sorry.
First it was nice.
Let me go again.
Nice quiet.
Fury will not fight White or Usyk. No money in fighting either for Fury at this point. Only dummies don't understand this. Fury, AJ, Fury, Caballero, White, Ariola. I call BS on these, and no one listened. Interesting.
Why are we talking about Areola? Where did that come from?
I'm not sure. I think he wanted to mention that Fury won't fight White or Usyk. It's money.
Yeah. I like Tyson Fury.
I like him. I thought he's a character.
He's good for boxing. And he's honest. I like him because he's honest, you know. He's an honest guy, you know, and I like that about him.
It's Deontay Wilder's birthday today, Uncle.
Whoop-de-doo for my Subaru.
Uncle.
Deontay is a gambler, you know.
Yeah.
He made the most out of his career with basically no skills, you know. He never showed me the boxing prowess, you know. But he made the best of it. He made that, you know, I can't say nothing bad about him, you know.
Did you hear the final thing I will talk about is Mayweather having a pop at Malik Scott saying he's not a certified trainer.
He said what?
That Malik Scott's not a certified trainer.
I can't hear what you said. What did you say?
He said Malik Scott's not a certified trainer. That's what Mayweather said about Malik Scott.
He said he's not a certified trainer.
He said he left Mark Breland to go with an uncertified trainer.
Yeah. Well, that's Mayweather's opinion, you know. You can't never say that Mayweather's out of words, right?
That's true. Uncle, just a final question asked. Hold on.
Everybody got to start somewhere. Malik Scott starting from somewhere like everybody else did.
He's starting in a very good position. I'd say very high up. Uncle, would you care to see Fury versus David Haye?
No. No.
Why, Uncle?
What would be any different him fighting Fury than he was fighting Vladimir Klitschko?
Klitschko, exactly. Well, because Haye says he's got Fury's kryptonite.
Right, okay. Okay. I guess the same kryptonite he had for Bellew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, one other thing. Tom, I know I don't really want to talk to you about this, but I'll tell you. Tommy Fury is going to be fighting Jake Paul. And the Furies have said that if he gets beat by Jake Paul, they'll all beat him himself.
No comment, man. I don't want to talk about that stupid stuff. That's some drunk stuff. I don't want to talk about that stuff.
I have to admit, but Tommy Fury's a boxer.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. All I'm saying is that going out the door, I'm saying AJ got to get himself together. He got to get himself together. He's wasting time, valuable time.
Final question of the night.
You're going around the landscape talking about going to this gym, going to that gym, going to this gym, going to that gym, going to this gym, going to that gym. What does it all mean? In the end, what does it all mean? If
AJ stays with Angel Fernandez and Rob McCracken, what happens?
Angel Fernandez and McCracken, what about him?
If those two, if he stays with that team, what happens?
I think that he'll most certainly lose it within the next 3 fights. He'll lose again.
If he takes McCracken and Angel Fernandez, I believe, was the one saying, "Brilliant, AJ, that guy."
I think one is just equals the other. Those guys are not on a level where they can train the heavyweight champion. They've had to go at it, and I don't see the proof. I don't see the proof, as my mother said. The proof is in the tasting of the pudding. I can't see no taste in the pudding. I don't see any productivity that's going to make AJ better. These guys has had their chance. They've been there, and I can't see the worth. I don't see their worth. What are they doing?
All right, fair enough. We will be in touch soon, and we'll keep you updated, and we'll keep talking. Any final words for yourself?
Is there any fights tonight?
Not that I know of.
I think it's the first Bridgerweight title is supposed to be fought tonight, either tomorrow night.
Is it? Well, Brian Jennings is out
Oscar Rivas, someone's supposed to fight tonight.
Yeah, Brian Jennings won't fight that because he doesn't want to get vaccinated. So I understand. So that's why he
doesn't want to get vaccinated.
That's why that fights. That's why Jennings is not fighting for the title.
Oh, because he don't want to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying to all the people out there just listening. All right, I respect everybody who don't want to get vaccinated. I respect that. But I also respect those people who did get vaccinated. All right? Because it seems to me like for the people that's out there, you be damned if you do, and you be damned if you don't.
Yep.
All right? Now, we go out there and we go to these fast food restaurants and we put sauce all over our chicken, sauce all over our french fries. Does anybody know what's in that sauce?
Hell no.
Nobody knows what's in that sauce. We go out there, we put steroids in our body. We swallow steroids. All right? Does anybody know what's in those steroids?
No.
This is bullshit, you know? Well, I don't want to take because I don't know what's in it, you know? Okay, you got a headache. You take a Bufferin, you take a aspirin. Does anybody know what they put? Does anybody know what's in the aspirin? You know, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. How do you justify it? Well, I'm not going to take it because I don't know what's in it. Oh man, that's the lamest excuse I've heard yet. I don't want to take it because I don't know what's in it. It's a lot of stuff that we use. All right, you put ointment on it. Muscle relaxing ointment. You don't know what's in that ointment. You don't read everything that you take.
Yeah.
You drink Pepsi Cola. You ever look at the back of a Pepsi Cola bottle?
I've seen the crap that's in it. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Did you ever look at the ingredients in Pepsi Cola?
I have. It's pure garbage in there.
It's about 9,000. It's about 9,000 ingredients in a Pepsi Cola, but we drink it. Nobody, you drink it without breaking down what's in each one of those ingredients. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you ain't gonna change the world because you don't want to get vaccinated. Fine. You might as well try to get a job doing something because you won't box. Nobody's gonna box somebody you're not vaccinated. Wow. I had to get vaccinated if I want to travel. Because every time I travel, every time I go somewhere, I got to stay in the airport 4 or 5 hours because I'm not vaccinated. I got to wait for Paul to call Jack, Jack to call Jill, Jill called Mary, and then Mary called back to the airport 6 hours later and say, all right, you can let him in the country. But he can only be here for 2 days, 3 days, then he got to get out. Then he got to be in quarantine. So you be damned if you do, damned if you don't. But to all the people that's out there that's not vaccinated, check this out. When God wants you, man, he coming to get you. And all the medicine, and all the mojo, and all the Harry Houdini, and Aladdin's magic lamp ain't going to help you. When God wants you, he coming to get you. Ain't nothing going to save you. Ain't nothing going to save you. I don't care what, and you don't know which way it's going to come. It could be a flower pot falling off a windowsill. It could be a car jumping the sidewalk. You're not going to get away from death. Death is going to overtake you. Well, I don't want to take that chance. You take a chance every time you walk out your door. Every time you step out your bed, you're taking a chance.
Uncle, check this out. Kurt Ivan is 29 years old. He made 150 million. He's been a superstar for 8 years. His great grandkids will never have to work, and he's down for no jab. Absurd.
What?
Says Kurt Ivan, the NBA player, is 29 years old. He's made 150 million. He's been a superstar for 8 years. His great grandkids will never have to work, and he's down for no jab. Absurd.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Let me just follow this up.
It
They
is
used
what
to
it is.
put real cocaine in Coca-Cola back in the day before it was banned.
Yeah, they were putting the real coke in it.
Yeah.
They was making sure everybody had an addiction. Sprinkle a little coke in there. Everybody talk about, yeah, where's that Coca-Cola at, man? I want more of that. I want more of that. Yeah. No, we got orange soda. No. We want Coca-Cola. Not orange soda. I want the Coca-Cola. They want to make sure that they had that taste. You know?
They would go if it wasn't so expensive. Says Joe.
Bruh, ain't nobody getting away from death. Death is going to overtake us all. So don't worry about it. Just go out and live your life. You know, be as careful as you can. But know in your heart and mind that death will overtake us all at some point. Death is going to overtake us all.
Yes.
I saw here in New York, I believe it was today, they had an amateur hot dog eating contest here in New York today. Amateur hot dog eating contest. Guess what?
Wow.
A girl died because she got choked to death.
What?
Young girl, 16, 17 years old. They was having a game, an amateur hot dog eating contest to see who can eat the most hot dog. And the girl choked to death. So it's another example that when God wants you, He's going to call you, and ain't not nobody can do.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing you ain't nothing just so just show some respect for God. Show some respect for adulthood. Show some respect for your elders. Show some respect for your neighbors, and do the best you can do in this life, because at some point
you're gonna get taken up out of here.
God gonna call you, man. Ain't nothing you can do. Ain't nothing you can do.
I hear that, Uncle. All I live now is for legacy. It's legacy now. Legacy. Right, Uncle. I'm gonna have to cut you short now. I've got Mr. Stavern waiting on the line, so I'm gonna have to bring him in, and bring him in. So I've got to do a show with him and find out what the hell's going on. And more importantly,
I'll catch up with you later.
All right, Uncle. Much love to you, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, good night, everybody. Good night.
Oh, by the way, Stavern was saying that AJ should be training with you. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Stavern's a good guy. I wish I could have got Stavern 7 years ago. You know.
I think he wishes that too, Uncle. If you talk to him
quietly, I think we'd have had a couple of fights, because Stavern likes to do what he wants to do. But through it all, from the time that I was around him, I sensed respect in him.
Yeah,
you understand? Because of his upbringing.
He's a brother. I mean, we spoke the other night for about 3 hours.
What I'm saying is, I sense a sense of morality in Stavern because of his upbringing. I sense that about him, you know, and I think that we would have made a good team. We'd have had a couple of fights here and there, but once we got past those fights, we could have made good music together, you know, because he's a good guy, because he was raised right. That's important. He was raised right.
You know how much I wanted to get you two fighting together. You know how much I wanted you two together to work. You know how much I wanted it to happen. But you know, you can put a horse, you can take a horse to water, Uncle, but you can't make him drink. And I'm not talking about you there.
That's right.
And he understands that now. He understands that now.
Of course. You know, and Stavern, he's past his days now. But I really appreciate him. I appreciate the time that we was together, because I sensed about morality in him. because the way he was raised.
Yeah.
All right, you can't dismiss that. You can't remove that. He was raised a certain way, and I sensed that in the short time we were together. I sensed the morality in him.
Yes.
So he may think I didn't notice it, but I noticed. I'm very observant, and he was raised a certain way, and that carries over into his adulthood. You know,
Yes.
AJ is a good guy too, but he's got, you know, when you get up there and you get around fame and fortune, you start acting a different way. Yeah. But nothing can replace that morality. Every boxer got to have a man or some person that he had respect for.
Yes.
All right. That's why I like working with the guy I work with. And Severn knows Vlad Serenko. Vlad Serenko's a good guy. He listens. He's respectful. I like him. I would be very disappointed if me and Vlad don't go to the World Championship together. I would be very disappointed.
I'm sure you will, Uncle. I'm sure you will. We'll talk. We'll catch up soon. Thank you so much, Uncle. And thank you all who've been watching. And thank you so much for the super chat donations. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. Thank you again so much.
I'm going to reach out for you later.
Okay, Uncle, no problems.
Good night.
I'll send you the link for Severn. Take care, Uncle.